Snippets from Hidden Sins by Martin Hall. Wednesday morning, Yanci glanced around the Houston Woods Lodge conference room. Then she saw the small table with felt-tip pens and stick-on name tags stating "Hello, I am," and blank lines beneath. She grabbed a tag and scribbled, "Yanci Golden, Youth Director, Seneca Heights Chapel, Hamilton." She wanted to add that she hadn't asked for the job. It made her uncomfortable knowing many people didn't think women should be church youth directors. After Steve's death, the congregation begged her to take his place. She was a new widow, she had a 10-year-old daughter to raise, she didn't need this extra grief. She'd told herself she'd accepted the position for the salary, small though it was, but the real reason was bound up with God and Steve and GeeGee, and her commitment to them. But she couldn't get all that on a name tag. Yanci straightened and paused before a huge mural of Native American women playing football. As a college fine arts major in music, painting, and writing, she took a professional interest in such things. "What's old Herman going to regale us with this morning?" The man stood so close to her his breath tickled her ear. Turning, Yanci faced a stiff white collar and a kaleidoscopic tie of multicolored geometric shapes. Above the collar, Bascom Wittenberg tilted over her. Nobody his age had hair that black. Matching eyebrows shielded sunken eyes. Darker eyes she had never seen. Darker than hers even. "The professor," she said, "has developed a new line of reasoning which proves that the Apostle Paul was the author of the pastorals." Second scene. Another knock brought the paramedics. They studied the lump on Yanci's head, her eyes, her pulse, and her blood pressure. "Mrs. Golden, we'd like to transport you to the hospital." "No, please. I'm feeling much better. I'll stay awake, I know I shouldn't nap when there's a chance of concussion. GeeGee will be here with me, and I'll see my doctor tomorrow." "Mrs. Golden." That was Detective Ferguson's voice. She struggled to a sitting position, causing Big Ben to strike 12 inside her head and the room to spin. She held her breath, refusing to be sick in front of him. It took a full minute for whatever was in her throat to go back down. The dizziness subsided, too, but the pain remained. "Well, was it a Dix again?" "Please." His eyebrows arched quizzically. "The officer who investigated the break-in at my church said it was probably drug addicts looking for money or something to sell." "No, I don't think it was addicts again. Do you keep a lot of money around?" She started to laugh, but then her head threatened to come off. "No, I never have a lot of money." Third scene. Carl, this lady got a phone call about 5:30. A man said he worked here, and that a patient named Soldowski wanted her to come out. "You know anything about that?" "I don't know a patient by that name." His face softened into a smile. "I'm sorry, lady." Yanci glanced from one to the other. "Thank you. It seems my caller was a practical joker." She stormed back to her car, getting more steamed with every step. Of all the dirty tricks. Her whole evening ruined. Twilight had long since fallen and trees turned from green to purple. She twisted the ignition key. The fool car coughed, sputtered, and died. "You give me trouble, and I'm calling the scrap yard." The engine caught on the third try. She switched on the headlights and roared out of the lot. Who could have done this to her? And why? And who was this turkey suddenly behind her as if by magic? She twisted her mirror to escape his blinding lights. Was he trying to pass? On this crooked road? He was. He was going to pass. Curve coming up. She slowed down, it was all as if he could make it. Fortunately, no opposing traffic came. There was too little daylight to see the driver. The white car forged past, cleared her front bumper. Almost. It cut to the right, toward her. Gripping the steering wheel, she veered right also. And stomped the brake pedal. That was the wrong thing to do. The junkmobile skidded onto the berm, tires screamed, gravel rattled. She tipped sideways, a bucolic scene of bushes and grass covered her windshield. Her head struck something, everything went black. Fourth scene: rain slanted down from a grim sky in hashmark lines, exploding on Oxford's historic brick avenue. I'm thankful GeeGee won't have to walk home in this, Yanci told Gus. Right. He glanced across at her, she peered out the side window, wiping a spot clear with her hand. Ferguson's officer should be picking her up any time now. He turned his Mustang into one of several available parking spaces. Obviously the downpour was keeping people away. Only a few brave pedestrians splashed through the water, their umbrellas tilted against the onslaught. Yanci and Gus sat warm and dry in his parked car, protected from the weather. He hoped he could protect her from other things as well, dangerous things. No way he would have let her come here without him. The Miami Co-op bookstore rambled, part 1 story, part 2, apparently 2 buildings jammed together. Oxford had a bunch of old brick structures, this one was painted white. The name, in big red letters, spanned the front of the building. Yanci shifted in her seat. I'd better get this done. Let me go. You wait here. Thanks, but you know we can't do that. It has to be me, someone may be watching. She slipped the professor's excerpts under her raincoat, gripped them with her cast, then reached for the door handle. Have you ever been called stubborn? She gave him the deep look. Determined. Fifth scene: a patrol officer must have been nearby. A young man whose carrot-colored hair contrasted sharply with his navy blue uniform drove his car in behind theirs. He and Ferguson spoke out of Yanci's hearing, then the young man strode toward the boathouse. He paused facing the door. Yanci heard a scraping sound and the door swung open. The officer brandished a large flashlight with one hand, grasped the door jamb with the other, and leaned in. Yanci took a step forward. I must. Ferguson grasped her arm. No, wait. The officer turned around to face them. His face was gray, his mouth open, his flashlight gone. Staggering, he advanced 2 steps, bent with his hands on his knees, and retched. Ferguson turned Yanci firmly toward the car. Get in, please. His V-brows hung low over his eyes as he reached in for his flashlight, then turned back toward the garage. This doesn't look good.